I'm gonna start off by putting some positive energy into the yay. I want to say that one more time. I'm gonna start off by putting some positive energy into the air, and I'm gonna ask you to catch it. Catch it. Cool. All right. Welcome back to After Hours. Cool. All right. What's starting it? What's starting it? I feel like we have some positive energy in the room. I'm just gonna get my handy little device once again. Okay, so for today, guys, the video is gonna be about me essentially still figuring out how to be gay. That's what it's about. I know the title seems a bit seems a bit but in reality, the reason why I wanted to do this video, I know that I've been doing a lot of like funky different stuff. I know I've been doing a lot of funky different stuff, right? Whether it's like the cinematic videos. Oh my god, I just released my ad. So if you haven't watched that, please do watch that. Please go repost that, go share that on TikTok, because that's where things can actually happen. On Instagram, don't even mind that. Watch it on YouTube too as well. But I'd say the biggest thing, please do watch that on TikTok. Oh, also, I'm going. Oh, jeez. I'm hosting a trip to South Africa, right? So if you want to come, check it out. I'm gonna add the information in the link below. So yeah, like shit. But yeah, now I'm gonna be hosting a trip to South Africa with Tour Hero. I'm really excited. It's gonna be in December on the 28th. It's gonna be for 1 week, but I'm gonna stay out in South Africa for like 2 weeks, maybe 3. Who knows? But yeah, no. If you want to do that, if you're on that, check out the details. Exciting stuff is happening. Yeah. Okay, cool. Back to the video. Where was I? So the point of the video is that I'm still figuring out how to be gay, and I feel like the reason why I feel this is important, before I move over and do all of the amazing stuff that I want to do as we progress, I felt like I had to do a video on this particular topic, just because I don't feel like there's a lot of media, literature, and material around this particular topic. And I think this is super important because everybody's figuring shit out. Like nobody has it perfect, nobody has it figured out. But I feel like for gay men specifically, especially like black gay men, I don't think there's enough guidance and support to help us to figure out our lives. Like we don't have so many elders that we can relate to and connect to and talk to and help give us direction. So I want to add to that pot. So yeah, like I said, I think really important for us to have conversations around like figuring shit out and like not having it all together. But then I think on a deeper level, I love saying a deeper level, innit? On a deeper level, I want to talk to like the young me, like the 16-year-old me, like the 12-year-old me, that either knows he's gay, doesn't know he's gay, and like needs to hear from someone who's 28 and can proudly say like, yo, like things are great, things are good, things are progressing, but I'm still figuring shit out and I don't necessarily know how to be a gay. Like that's something that I'm still trying to understand, still trying to figure out. And I feel like when we get into this video, you understand where I'm coming from in regards to this topic. Yeah, makes sense? All right, cool. So as I was saying, in terms of like the material that's available out there, I feel like when we look at material that's related to women and when we look at material that's related to men, I'm just going to start maybe in the heteronormative space, right? In the heteronormative sphere. A lot of male or men centered media kind of reiterates like gender norms that we already familiar with. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there is much room to kind of explore like who you are and like your place in the world outside of like the hero's journey. When we usually see that in a heteronormative lens, there's certain ideals that are still like kind of present. But then I think when we look at like women's literature, women's media, women's art, whatever we see out there, whilst not everything relates to like queer and gay and lesbian women, I do feel like there is a question and a space to kind of interrogate like your place in the world and like what's happened before and what's happening in the future and like essentially what you want to do. And I think a really good example of that is a movie that I really, really love, which is called Their Eyes Were Watching God. And there's also a book by it. And in that movie, the reason why I love it so much, and even like movies like Eat, Pray, Love, as corny as it is, like Eat, Pray, Love is a really fundamental movie to me. I'm just going to say that. I love a Julia Roberts. Oh my God, I'm just going to say that right now. Me and a Julia Roberts, we go like this. But anyways, what I wanted to say is that even with movies like Their Eyes Are Watching God or Eat, Pray, Love, like the women in these stories are able to kind of step away from societal norms and actually think for themselves in terms of like, where is my space in this world? Where is my space in community? Where is my space in this particular society? And I think that a lot of the media that we consume that's related to men lacks that particular question. I feel like they figure their stuff out, but then they end up being like the general idea of what a man should be. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like interrogating or like pushing things, pushing the envelope further. And I think with that being said, I think that's why a lot of even gay men, we kind of relate more towards, and I'm just gonna speak like from my experience and the people around me. I think a lot of gay men do tend to relate more towards like women's media stories and stuff like that. Because I think the difference is that question of like, who am I? Do I fit into this? Does this work? Is this working? What should I change? Who do I want to be? What do things mean? I think women's media digs into that a little bit better. And I think for us as gay men, there's much more of a lack in regards to that particular conversation. And I think that's a super important conversation. I don't think a lot of people actually think about in terms of like navigating life. Like, do you know how crazy it is to navigate life as a gay man, as a gay black man? I know that we're living in 2025 and people try and move like, oh my God, things are like progressive and all that stuff. Sorry, they can rip away that progressiveness in a heartbeat. All right. Let's not forget what was happening 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Like, let's be serious. So, in regards to that, I think for me, I really want to have a conversation around like our lack of elders and our lack of guidance and how that might actually impact the way that we move. Do you get what I'm trying to say? In terms of like, if I want to ask for advice about life and stuff like that, the people that surround me in terms of like my family and the elders and stuff like that, they come from a heteronormative perspective. So their advice and what they give me is gonna come from that particular lens. And whilst it's not a bad lens and I can definitely take things off of that, there's still a lack of connect because they don't live my lived experience. They don't understand the particular things that I go through. So they can't really understand what it's like for me to move in the world and like how to actually fully help me in a way that aligns with what I need, you know? And I think that's something to think about, like in terms of what does that actually mean for the way I will move? It means that I'm gonna have to figure a lot of shit out, and a lot of us are going to have to figure a lot of shit out. And that's not new to us. Like even if we think about like first gen children, right? A lot of us have to figure out shit like on our own because like our parents aren't used to the society and all of that stuff. But then like whilst a lot of us have to figure shit out, it's like there's still this extra thing of like if I step out there and I try to like find stuff to watch or to observe, there's not as much as there is for like other people. And I think even if I think about this on a deeper level, right? If I think about my relationship with my family and things like that, I think there is a bit of a disconnect, right? And I think it's good to also be honest about that disconnect. And I think that disconnect also makes me quite reserved to engage fully with family because like I know that everybody has their things to go through, but I feel like as a kid, right? It's like I took the time to understand certain things that were happening, like certain dynamics that were in our family, right? Like, okay, you came from this experience, which might mean it leads you to behave in this particular way. And I was doing this at quite young, right? But then when it comes to like me being gay, I don't feel like there's been enough like acknowledgement, well, raw, like this guy is gay and he's living fully openly as gay, and like how could that actually impact him? And like what are the things maybe as a family member, whatever role you might play, that I might need to actually clue myself up on so that I can actually help him if there comes a time where he needs help. I think there's a lack of that. And that is always kind of like my issue and something that I have to like come to terms with and kind of work through and kind of communicate outwardly, but then still have to deal with like the slow progress around that. Like, not only is there a lack of guidance, like I can't go to a gay uncle or a gay whatever, or a gay figure, like whatever. But then, like, are you really taking the time out to like understand what I need as a gay person in your family? You know what I mean? Are you really taking the time out to understand some of the things that I might go through, like how to communicate things to me, like the experience that I have? Like, do you take the time out to really understand my life? Whilst I've taken the time out to try and understand your life, I don't know. I think there's a bit of resentment there, and I definitely feel like that's something to deal with in therapy and something to deal with myself. But I think I think we should be honest about these things. You know, honest about like yeah, it's great to accept and say, "Oh yeah, like be who you want to be be your pride and all that stuff." That's amazing, but at the same time, it's like it's not just enough to say, "Oh, I accept you for who you are." It's kind of like, do you take the time out to really see like who I actually am? Like, I don't know. I think there's this thing about being seen that I need to like think about. Yeah, I think there's a thing about being seen, being fully seen. Yeah, just something to think about. And it's interesting even thinking about this idea of like being seen, right? Because when I navigate life, I feel like when I'm outside of family settings and stuff like that, I feel like people are so receptive to me. I feel like people are open to me. Obviously, there's homophobic people out there. I'm not saying like the whole world isn't homophobic, but I feel like when I'm myself, like I can easily connect to other people and like find people that like me and are cool with me and all of that stuff. And it's such a contrast in regards to like me being myself, being fully received, but then at home it's like there's like a block. Do you know what I mean? There's like a something there, and it's like I don't know. I just think if you're straight, if you are straight and watching this, like it's worth thinking about if you have gay people around you, like some of the things that they may go through, and like thinking about how. And it doesn't even have to be about. Do you know what? Let's scrap that because it's not even about being straight and a gay thing. It's just like in terms of if someone lives a different experience to you, like thinking about like how can that experience potentially impact them and like how can you be helpful? Do you know what I mean? Like, how can you be helpful? How can you learn to like help them on their journey the same way that they're probably learning and helping you on your journey, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's just something to think about. It's interesting navigating the world and society and like people being so receptive to you and like being so open to you and like raw like there are people that fuck with this, like that fuck with me, you know? But I think regardless of all of that, I'm really happy and proud of like how far I've come in terms of my own personal journey with like my identity, my sexuality, and me being gay and all of that stuff. And there's still so much growth to do, like, and I'm excited for that growth. Like, I'm so excited for that growth. I think there's so much more for me to experience. And I feel very like early on in my journey. And I am really early on in my journey. I'm only 28, but like I just think there's just so much more things to experience and grow and do. Um, but yeah, it is worth thinking about like my place now and like how I fit in different environments and different circles, and how does that actually impact the way I feel about myself or the way I live, you know? And I think the biggest thing for me is like I'm really excited to like have my own family in the future. And I don't want that to be like off the back end of me having trauma. Like I've always wanted a family, like regardless of whatever. But I think in regards to this particular topic, like I'm super excited to build a family and be open to understanding my children and understanding their needs and understanding their experience and making sure they feel seen. Yeah. I feel like as a dad, like making sure my child feels seen. And it's not just in the context of what we're discussing. I think like even when it comes to like your child's talents and where they shine and what makes them really happy, like paying attention to those things and like bringing that out of them even more, like showcasing that even more. Um, because at some point they're gonna come back to those things that you either showcase or you neglect. And then I don't want to be in a position where my child in the future resents me for not showcasing or highlighting certain beautiful parts of them. Um, so yeah. That's what I have to say on that. No shade. I feel like it's getting shady. I'm not even trying to be shady. I'm not even trying to be shady. I'm really not. I'm really not. You know what's interesting? I think even though I spoke about this topic of like the world being more receptive to me and all that stuff, it does also make me think about like people pleasing tendencies, right? And like this fine balance between like showing up as your actual self, like being authentic and all of those things, but then also how much or how you have to shape yourself and the things that you go through adolescence to like kind of show up in the world and be receptive and have people be receptive to you is also on my mind. And I think that I definitely do have like people pleasing tendencies that I need to be aware of and I am aware of, and there's probably other things that I'm not aware of, but yeah, I think for me with me creating more and like showcasing art, because like I said, I do want to create art. I think I want to use my art also as a point of like resistance in regards to like people pleasing, and like showing like this is me and this is what I want to do and this is it type of thing, rather than trying to bend myself in a way that is easily digestible or pleasing to others. Like, I don't know. But I think it's also interesting because it's like when you think about social media and like creating and like showcasing your art, you kind of also do have to bend and morph in a certain way for that art to be showcased across, for that to have reach. So I don't know. I think that one is a tricky one, but I do want to use my art as like a point of resistance. But it's like I haven't necessarily figured out the exact, ways of doing that. I guess it'll be interesting to find out if there's any creators or artists that are watching this. Like, how do you navigate that point of like creating something and just saying this is what I want to do, but then also finding a way to like publicize that on social media and not lose like the integrity of what you're doing in the first place, and not having to like make sure you're catching someone's attention within the first 2 to 3 minutes and having all of these sound bites, whatever the case may be, to like grab people's attention, but like still be true to your art. I don't know. I'm still figuring this shit out, man. Ah, but yeah, I just think there's an interesting conversation around. Yeah, the world is more receptive to me, but also what did I learn at home that told me, okay, I'm gonna have to move like this externally for people to then like me or love me, There's an interesting conversation around that. I don't know if today is the day for us to jump into that, but there's an interesting conversation. There's an interesting conversation around that. And I think on a deeper level than what I've already shared as well, I think my concern is about not being aware of the blind spots that are in me, um, that I don't know about when it comes to this particular topic. Like, if we're talking about guidance, if we're talking about direction, if we're talking about like moving forward, like, of course I'll do the therapy, and of course like I still have amazing people around me that can help me and all that stuff, and I still have myself and I still have my own intuition. But it makes me think about like the blind spots that a lot of us gay guys will have and might not even be aware of, and like there's lack of support to help us through in that regard. Like, I don't know, I think there's something interesting in regards to how that lack of elders, that lack of guidance impacts our decisions in work, in love, in relationships. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And like I said, it's not the be all end all. There's definitely material out there that we can read and stuff like that. There's definitely material that we can. Oh my god, I actually bought a new book, and it's like the debate one that all the gays are read. All the gays read. The Velvet Rage. I think it's called The Velvet Rage. I'm gonna read that. Because again, all the gays fucking talk about that shit and like, oh, you need to read this. So I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna see what it's saying. But yeah, there's definitely material out there, but still, I think it's fair to highlight the lack of. I think to kind of conclude, like I said, I'm not pessimistic about the future. I'm very optimistic. And like I said, I recognize that there's a gap in information and knowledge, and I'm definitely going to add towards that particular gap. So it's not just like, oh, we're doomed and all that stuff. But I think it's you have to look at where you've been to know where you're going forward. And I think that's called Sankofa, the Ghanaian philosophy. I might even get a tattoo of that. Just I might, because I love that saying. And I think that's very much where I'm at right now in my own life, in terms of like looking back to move forward, to understand what decision I'm gonna make next. And I think, yeah, as like gay guys, as gay men, we definitely do need to look back of like where we've been, what's been happening, and decide like how is that going to impact the decision that we make to move forward. So yeah, I think with that being said, like I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for the friendships that I haven't made yet, for the people that I haven't even met yet, the gay men I haven't even met yet, that I'll have amazing friendships with, help me on my journey. I think there's a lot to look forward to. So again, this is not, I really want to make it clear, this is not like a pessimistic video. This is not like a low video. This is just to like honestly recognize there's a bit of a gap here, and we should start talking about these things, because I think we talk about a lot of things as gay men, but we should also talk about like, well, how are we moving forward? As gay men, like, as gay black men, like, how are we moving forward? Like, what's happening? Like, what's actually happening? Like, where is the state of us right now? Like, what's going on? Like, so yeah, I hope that the younger version of me is watching this. Oh my god. I hope like a younger version of a Bradley right now is watching this and is seeing like at 28, like I'm still figuring out my shit. If you're 18, 16, 15, 13, coming to terms with who you are, like we're all just figuring out this shit, and it's okay to figure it out. Like that's part of the journey, is figuring out the shit. Like, so don't feel like you need to be at this point or here or there or wherever the case may be. Like we're all figuring it out. Even the 50-year-olds are figuring, they're still figuring it. They're still trying to figure it out. Please, there's enough 40-year-olds, I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I think the most important thing is like to be curious, you know, to be curious about like where can I find new information, how can I add to that information, and yeah, that's kind of like the point of today's video. So as always, I hope that you guys have enjoyed today's video. I love that you guys are loving the after hours, by the way, because you saw me in the first video. You might have seen me, you might not have seen me, but in the first after hours, I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna like enjoy this type of format, this type of vibe, but you guys seem to really enjoy me sitting. Who knew you just wanted me to sit down and talk? Like, oh, we could have been doing that. I'm joking, I did want to do like other stuff, but I'm glad that you guys are enjoying this type of stuff. So there'll be more to come. Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited for the end of this year, you know. I feel like by December we're gonna have another conversation. It's gonna be a different conversation. It's gonna be like, yeah, we did that shit. I can't wait for December. But no, anyways, we need to wrap up the video. So like I said, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. As always, guys, I hope that you take care of your spirits and your hearts, and I will catch you on the next one. All right, bye. Or maybe I should say bye so you can actually hear me in the mic. Bye. Bye. Say hello. What the hell is wrong with you? Who on earth told you that you could grab my face? Okay, let go. Anyways, bye guys.